Was it a fleeting moment, or the confirmation everyone's been waiting for? One camera flash, one unexpected touch, and suddenly, the entire backstage turned into the hottest headline of the night. Whispers became wildfire. And what happened behind the curtain refused to stay hidden. Tonight, Red Carpet Revealed takes you beyond the spotlight to uncover what really happened when no one was supposed to be watching. Let's dive in. The lights behind the curtain were softer than the ones outside, but they burned just as fiercely. The gala was over, yet the air still shimmered with perfume, adrenaline, and half-spoken goodbyes. Luna Bai stepped off the stage, her heart still beating to the rhythm of applause that had ended 5 minutes ago. She had smiled for cameras so long that her cheeks ached, yet she could not shake the sense that something unfinished lingered in the room. A curtain swayed. Somewhere behind it, he heard laughter, the kind that always found her no matter how far she ran. Zeng. His voice was lower tonight, tired. But when he laughed it still felt like a memory she hadn't deleted. He was thanking the staff, shaking hands for one last backstage photo. The same routine. But his eyes, she knew they were searching too. They hadn't shared a scene in over a year. Not since the last project imploded under rumor and fatigue. What the audience called chemistry, producers called danger. And yet here they were again, in the same frame. Because fate, or some cruel algorithm, had decided their reunion would sell tickets. She turned a corner to leave. He was already there. For a moment the hallway was too narrow for both of them. Neither spoke. The distance between them was a heartbeat wrapped in silence. His tie was loosened. Hers the only face he couldn't perform for. "Congratulations," she said finally. "You too," he answered. The polite rhythm of professionals. Why both of them knew. Someone called Jace's name from down the hall. Footsteps echoed. He reached to move aside. And their hands brushed. The touch was nothing at first, an accident. A collision of rehearsed lives, but it lingered. Her fingers didn't retreat. His didn't either. Cameras were never supposed to be in this corridor. But one was. A stage technician had left a handheld recorder running on a tripod, capturing stray moments for the event's highlight reel. Its red light blinked quietly in the corner. Unnoticed. 3 seconds. That was all it took. The world would later dissect those seconds until they turned to dust, the way his thumb grazed hers. The look she gave before turning away. The almost imperceptible smile that passed between them like confession. But in that moment it was just warmth, relief. Something dangerously human. A shout from the stage manager broke the spell. "We'll live again in 5. They stepped apart, pretending nothing had happened. She adjusted her bracelet, he fixed his cufflinks. The curtain opened. The night continued as if the air hadn't changed. By midnight the clip was everywhere. Someone from the crew had uploaded it to private chat. Within an hour it reached the gossip feeds. Backstage shock. Luna Bai and Jace Zeng caught holding hands. The headline spread like a spark across dry grass. Fans lost their minds. Half cheering, half mourning. All certain they had witnessed the truth. Luna's phone exploded with notifications. Her manager's name appeared 22 times in a row. "What happened? Were you careless?" She didn't answer. She sat on her dressing room floor, knees drawn up, watching the grainy clip loop again and again. The camera wobbled, the lighting was bad, but somehow it captured more honesty than any film she'd ever made. Across town, Jace sat in his car outside his apartment. Engine still running. His publicist was already drafting statements. It was a misunderstanding. They are close friends who respect each other professionally. He stared at the text before deleting it. Close friends. Respect. Professional. That meant nothing and everything. By morning, hashtags had climbed to the top of every platform. Forums argued with surgical precision. Some zoomed in on his expression. "Look how he looks at her, this is love." Others countered, "Publicity stunt. Perfect timing before their drama airs." I'd built its own version of truth. Reporters camped outside the agency buildings. One shouted, "Are you two together?" when Luna arrived for a meeting. She kept walking. But her silence was fuel. The headlines multiplied. No denial yet. Inside the conference room the air was thick with perfume and panic. Executives argued over damage control. Someone proposed suing the media. Someone else suggested pretending the footage was fake. "It's only 3 seconds, one man said. "We can kill the story." But Luna knew 3 seconds could change entire careers. She had lived her life in 3-second bursts, smiles for cameras, tears cut before they fell, the length of one commercial break to turn emotion into entertainment. She listened to the arguments until the voices became noise. Then she said quietly, "If you try to erase it, they'll just believe it more." The room fell silent. Her manager sighed. "Then what do we do?" "Nothing," she said. "Let the truth breathe for once." That sentence ended the meeting. Meanwhile, Jace's team was running its own crisis simulation. Charts, timelines, contingency statements. Every sentence began with denial. Denial, he realized, sounded a lot like guilt. He turned off his phone and opened the balcony door. The city below sparkled like broken glass. He remembered her voice years ago during their first trip together, whispering between takes, "If someday the world finds out, promise you won't hide me." He had laughed then, thinking it was a joke. Now the world had found out, and laughter felt impossible. By nightfall, the clip had been slowed down, color graded, analyzed like a national secret. Fans noticed the exact moment her fingers tightened around his. Someone found a second angle from a mirror reflection behind them. Another user matched the timing with a gala live stream in real life. Incident happened exactly at midnight, the symbolic hour of new beginnings. The internet decided it was fate. She stayed home, curtains drawn. Messages from strangers filled her inbox, some tender, some cruel. "We always knew, how dare you deceive us, be happy, apologize." Each one chipped away at her calm. She deleted most. But one lingered. "That was the most real moment you've ever shown us," she smiled sadly. At 2 a.m., her doorbell rang. She hesitated before opening it. A courier stood there with a small package, no sender's name. Inside was a flash drive. One file, highlight clip v2 MP4. Same footage, but longer, 5 extra seconds before and after. In those seconds, something new appeared, Jace's voice, low but clear. "You still shake before going on stage?" Answer, "Only when you're watching." Those 5 seconds detonated online like dynamite. Fashion wasn't just physical, it was emotional. It's called it the proof. Agencies went into lockdown. Drafted takedown notices. Too late. The internet had already engraved it into collective memory. First time, Luna realized how fragile control truly was. Every attempt to manage the narrative only amplified it. Every silence turned into interpretation. Yet deep inside, she felt oddly free. The lie had collapsed. All that remained was the warmth of a touch she could finally admit happened. When dawn came, the city outside her window glittered with headlines. On one billboard, a gossip show blared her face beside Jace's. Backstage shock continues. What happens next? She turned off the TV, leaned against the window, and whispered to no one. Let them find whatever story they need. Already lived ours. Across town, Jace scrolled through the endless noise. Typed one message he never sent: "If you're reading this, I'm not sorry." The world kept talking, analyzing. But behind all the noise lay a truth only 2 people understood, that sometimes a single touch can survive every camera, every rumor, and every attempt to rewrite it. Morning light crept across the skyline like forgiveness, soft and slow, erasing the glitter of the night before. Somewhere behind those lights, 2 hands that had once met in secret remembered what honesty felt like, even when no one else did. The noise didn't fade, it evolved. Within a week the clip had turned from gossip to mythology. Something retold in every language. Edited, slowed down, turned into fan art, into rumor. Of love, betrayal, redemption. The world was addicted to those seconds. But Luna and Jace had stopped watching. Somewhere beyond the frame now, caught in the quiet aftermath where reality feels softer but sharper too. Luna's agency called an emergency meeting to repair the damage. Contracts were suspended. Deals on hold. Scripts reassigned. The publicists wanted control. But control was impossible. "You'll do an interview," her manager said, voice thin with exhaustion. "You'll say it was gratitude, not affection. You'll smile." Luna looked at him and whispered, "I've smiled enough for strangers." She left before he could answer. Outside the office, reporters crowded the sidewalk. Phones rose like weapons, all shouting her name. She slipped through them without a word. One question sliced through the noise: Do you still love him? The words hit like a flashbulb to the heart. She didn't stop walking, but inside trembled. That night she went to the sea again. The same place she'd once gone to breathe. The wind tasted of salt and unfinished confessions. Her phone buzzed, unknown number. A text appeared. Meet me where the lights first went out, no signature. But she didn't need one. The cafe near the old studio was nearly empty. The rain tapped gently on the windows. A rhythm softer than fear. Jace sat at the corner table, hair damp. Tired but alive. For a long time they just looked at each other. Two ghosts reunited under ordinary light. They're destroying us, she said. They would have anyway, he answered. At least this time it's for something real. She smiled faintly. Real hurts. This pretending. The silence between them wasn't heavy, it was honest. He reached into his pocket and placed something on the table, a single Polaroid. The kind crews take before filming starts. It was them, years ago. Laughing in costume. On the back he'd written one word, begin. You kept this, she asked. Never knew how to throw it away, he said. Maybe it was waiting for tonight. Rain grew louder. Like applause behind walls. Somewhere in the distance thunder rolled. The echo of flashbulbs without cameras. Stayed there until closing time. Neither making promises. Neither running away. When they finally stepped outside. The storm had stopped. The city lights reflected on the wet pavement. Doubling everything, one world real, one imagined. In the morning, the internet erupted again. Had taken a blurry photo of them leaving together. Two, screamed the headlines. Agencies panicked. But neither of them commented. Silence became their statement. And in that silence, began to shift. The outrage softened, empathy crept in. Started saying it out loud, let them be. A week later, an anonymous open letter appeared online. And only a witness to the truth. It read, they didn't plan the moment. It wasn't for the cameras. It was two tired hearts finding each other in a place built on pretending. Stop turning honesty into scandal. The letter spread faster than the clip that had started it all. The tide turned. Brands reinstated contracts, journalists changed tone. What had begun as a scandal now looked like courage. But to Luna and Jace, none of it mattered. They met quietly. Sometimes in daylight. Sometimes in borrowed time. They talked not about fame or damage but about small things, coffee, books, the color of the morning light. Real things. One evening, she asked, do you ever wish the camera hadn't caught us? He thought for a moment. No. Without it, I might still be pretending. By the end of the month, invited to the same awards show where everything had begun. The organizers promised separate entrances, no interaction. Their teams begged them to keep distance. Agreed, on paper. The night glittered again. Others lined the carpet, eager, cautious. Luna arrived first, poised as always. Wearing white this time instead of red. The crowd cheered, flashes stuttered. A few minutes later, Jace appeared at the far end. For a heartbeat. Her remembered them. They walked toward each other. Separated by velvet rope and expectation. Cameras held their breath. Then, as she passed, he turned slightly. Enough for their hands to brush again, just once, light as memory. The crowd gasped. She smiled. Didn't look back. The moment lasted less than a second, but it was enough. Others shouted, fans screamed. Managers swore under their breath. Yet this time no one could twist it. There was no fear. Only calm acceptance, the understanding that sometimes truth deserves to be seen. After the ceremony, she found him backstage. Never learn, she teased. I'm consistent, he said. Besides, going to write stories. Let them at least be beautiful. She laughed quietly. And when they move on, then we'll still have the story that was ours. Reached for her hand, not as confession. Not as rebellion, but as peace. The cameras caught it again. Of course. They always do. This time the photo looked different, not scandalous, just human. The next morning, Red Carpet Revealed published its final feature on the saga. The headline read, Backstage. Stopped acting. The article ended with a single line, maybe the bravest thing a star can do is be real when the world wants performance. Luna read it over breakfast. Smiling faintly. Outside. The sky was clear for the first time in weeks. Her phone buzzed, Another message from Jace. Sunrise at the pier, she typed back one word, always. When she arrived, the sea was calm, reflecting gold across the water. He was already there, watching the horizon. No crowd. No noise, no stage. Just two people who had learned the difference between a story and a life. For a while they stood in silence, hands intertwined. The same gesture that had once ignited chaos. Now it was quiet, ordinary, sacred. Waves rolled in and erased the footprints behind them. Time would fade, headlines would change. But this moment of stillness, was theirs alone. And somewhere far away, a forgotten camera light blinked one last time before going dark. Thank you for walking with us through every flash of light and shadow. Stories like this remind us that behind every rumor, every photograph, and every red carpet smile, are hearts that still beat, fragile, brave, and human. From the first whisper backstage to the final silence by the sea, your curiosity kept this journey alive. We're deeply grateful. Until the next spotlight fades and another truth is revealed, this has been Red Carpet Revealed.